Warning. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
There was a fire catastrophe in California. Had to do with winds. You know how they always say, oh, the wind. It actually does. The winds move things and sparks move things. And it doesn't matter how much water you have if 900,000 buildings go up at the same time. Now, having lived in California, having lost every house save for one that we ever lived in, I take great offense at pointing fingers. You should be pointing fingers about how can we help?
Yeah.
It's too soon to be saying, oh, it's Gavin's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's like us taking seriously that there are, magic lasers in the sky that direct the weather. That doesn't work. It doesn't happen. This is a catastrophe, and this is what's happened. And let's try to figure out how to work towards not having it happen again. But, we don't control Mother Nature. Mother Nature doesn't give a damn what we want. Mother Nature does what she does. And if you're in the way, this is what happens. And California is chock full of people.
I'm going to get a little global here and look at things from the state level. Statewide, they don't allow proper management of forests, weed abatement, brush abatement. And so you have buildups around the state. And the example in Yorba Linda, we have the Chino Hills State Park. That's a state park, so you can't do brush abatement there. So it's just dead tinder waiting for a spark. And once it hits and in a wind, it's going to blow and go through. So I think you probably had quite a bit of that. You had a lot of buildup of this brush, and the state doesn't allow it. Same thing with the forest. It's why other states with big forests that do proper management, they don't have the same issues. Second thing is there's a war against natural gas and getting rid of natural gas. If you get rid of natural gas, you lose electricity. How are you going to move water around? You can't really store enough propane. Natural gas, you have lines going all over the place where you can keep these generators running. If you have a diesel one, that's difficult to refill those as well if you have to run them for 2 or 3 days. The other challenge is, and we've had to put in 4 natural gas generators in the last couple of years, just getting them approved by the AQMD is a challenge. So you have air quality issues. And I would think running a natural gas generator to prevent a fire is going to cut down on emissions far more. But that's another issue. But then you have to go even bigger on the whole water system in this state. We're not building enough storage. We're not building enough facilities. We're not proactive anymore. As a state, we used to be proactive. Governor Pat Brown really was a champion when it came to building infrastructure in this state. If you look at the great water projects in this state, first big one was Hetch Hetchy in the early 1900s. Then you have the LA Aqueduct in 1913. Then in the 1930s, Metropolitan was formed for Southern California. We built the Colorado River Aqueduct. In the 40s, they built the Central Valley Project to bring ag water to Central California in the breadbasket. And then in the 60s, we built the State Water Project, which was mostly completed in 1973. We had 20 million people in the state then. The very top way of, technology-wise, of storing music, 8-track tapes, right? 1973. And I forgot to bring mine to show people because most people don't know what it is. Look it up, Google it. Today, on my little cell phone, I have 9,000 songs. An 8-track tape holds 9, 10 songs at most. Why is it our technology for storing music has advanced in the last 20 years, but our water infrastructure has not changed a bit?
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can speed up the algorithm, make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please make sure you hit that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, last week I wasn't able to post because I've been waiting on my new interface to come in the mail. And now that we got it, we're going to get into it. So today I want to speak about the California fire situations. And as you heard at the beginning of the video with the clip that I dropped in, the nonsense that Whoopi was speaking about, I kind of want to speak towards that because this wasn't just a situation of Mother Nature. This isn't a situation where Mother Nature came through and all you had to do was move. That's nonsense. It's ridiculous. This was a totally avoidable situation that was not avoided because the people that's in office in California are corrupt. And as corrupt could be. So we're going to talk about California. We're going to talk about the two most predominant names ringing in California at this time. We're going to speak about Karen Bass, and we're going to speak about Gavin Newsom. So, one of the things that was highly just atrocious was the fact when the fires was going on, the mayor wasn't even in the United States of America. She was over in Ghana at the inauguration of Dr. Umar. Sorry, with Dr. Umar. Maybe they wasn't together, but they were at the same inauguration of the new Ghanaian president. And when she came back, she got caught up at the airport and they asked her flat out. And they asked her a lot of great questions. And she stood there as if she was a clone, as if she didn't know how to use her words, as if she didn't know how to answer the question. Now, of course, most handlers would tell their politician to stay quiet until we get to where we're going. Don't give any comments. But that just wasn't a good look here. So let's check into it, family.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down? David, as you said.
And she was gone, ladies and gentlemen. She made her way right on out that door, kept her mouth shut, Didn't have nothing to say for the citizens of Los Angeles. Didn't have anything to say for her constituents. She didn't say a damn thing. My heart goes out to the families. We're going to work hard to make sure things are set right. Nothing. She didn't say nothing. And then when they came out talking, this is what they said. Let's go here.
CBS News for Mayor Bass, please. Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started, and for several hours we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood.
Family, don't she look drained and defeated? Just watch her body language, her demeanor as he's asking this question, and watch how she responds.
Burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes.
Deflection! Deflection. I'm gonna have to put me a deflection drop up on here because this is definitely deflection.
Rest assured that rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Do you think your leadership was effective while responding to this disaster?
I just said what I believe is the most important thing for us to do right now, and that is going to continue to be my focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
The answer to that question is no, ladies and gentlemen. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Under her leadership, this happened due to the things that she requested as a leader. And we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that. But spoiler alert, it could have absolutely been avoided. The fire chief sends her a letter warning her about the situation that could take place, which did take place. So let's get into this letter. The Los Angeles City Fire Department is facing unprecedented operational challenges due to the elimination of critical civilian positions and $7 million reduction in overtime variable staffing hours. So she cut $7 million from their funding, which made it tougher for the fire department to actually do their jobs. These budgetary restrictions have adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations, such as technology and communication infrastructure, payroll processing, training, fire prevention, and community education. Fire prevention and community education. Family, all that could have been avoided. then we wouldn't have seen situations such as this.
Oh my God. You want to do it? 2, 3, let's do it. Oh my God.
We wouldn't be seeing situations like this either. Wouldn't be seeing Sunset on fire. Sunset Boulevard. Jesus Christ. Apparently, there's over 1,000 homes destroyed in the Palisades. That is ridiculous.
You want to do it?
And family, what really pisses me off is that apparently altogether, Karen Bass has cut about $17 million from the funding of the Los Angeles Fire Department. But she wanted to cut $49 million more. She wanted to cut $49 million more. Let's get into this article. This article's from the Daily Mail. Leaked memos reveal LA Mayor Karen Bass demanded her fire department cut an extra $49 million just 1 week before wildfires broke out. That's just despicable. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass demanded her fire department make an additional $49 million of budget cuts last week, a leaked memo revealed. This cut is already on top of $17.6 million of cuts in her latest budget. The extra cuts, requested just days before fires broke out and devastated swathes of Los Angeles, would have shut down 16 fire stations and crippled the department's ability to respond to emergencies, sources says. 16 fire stations would have been shut down if they would have obliged in that $49 million in budget cuts. The memo is dated January 6, only 1 day before the Palisades fires started. According to the sources, it was sent from the LAFD top brass at City Hall to the division chiefs and captains after a fraught meeting the previous Friday between Chief Kristen Crawley and Mayor Bass. The LAFD is still going through a fiscal year 2024-2025 $48.8 million budget reduction exercise with the city attorney's office, the document states. That is just crazy. So they already going through a $48.8 million budget reduction that was exercised with the city attorney's office, but she wanted to do an additional reduction of $49.9 million. That don't make any sense. The only way to provide cost savings would be to close as many as 16 stations. Not resources, fire stations. This equates to at least 1 fire station per city council district. This is what she wanted to do, family. And y'all know where that money was going. All for the illegals. And while she's making all these cuts so they can do all these things for all these illegals. She was out here telling you to go to the URL. Los Angeles mayor tells desperate residents to visit URL for help. Because, you know, Biden just signed a bill that's going to get you guys $770 instead of $750. I got you $20 more. While they're spending billions of dollars on illegals. But then it was brought to my attention that there's a reason behind Karen Bass being so against reparations. There's a reason behind Karen Bass putting billions of dollars and a whole lot more. Because it's not just money. It's time, it's resources into making sure these illegals are given an economic floor that's way higher than the Black American, the foundational Black American at that. So it came to my attention that this person in this picture here, I'm thinking it's the guy with the gray hair down here, is actually Karen Bass's grandfather. My grandfather, Salvador, came to this country from Mexico in the arms of his mother. So I guess the little boy is her grandfather. I'm just concerned which one is the mother. I digress. Let me stop. All right. During World War II, he fought for the only country he knew, America. When he returned home, he became a citizen, bought a business, and raised a family. I am here today because of him. Grandparents' Day. Very interesting. Very, very interesting, right? And then this came to my attention. Shout out to Woods. Why are Negroes defending Karen Bass? Her whole family is Mexican. She's a black woman that doesn't mess with niggas. Let her hold her own tacos. Let's check into that there.
We're with Karen Bass and her modern family for a delicious brunch.
And then some fresh cut fruit.
Prepared by her son-in-law. In the 80s, Bass gave birth to Amelia, with then-husband Jesus Lechuga. Those children include Yvette and Cynthia, who gave us their first TV interview of the campaign.
What does Karen Bass mean to you?
I mean, she means everything to me. She's my mom. One of them, but
she's been there when it's been the hardest.
We're with Karen Bass and her modern...
Well, family. It would seem that everything is starting to make sense. Now, it's one thing to be a coon. It's one thing to be a Sambo. But it's a whole other thing when your allegiance lies somewhere else. And you're put in a position to represent people who look like you, but your allegiance lies somewhere else. And then we realize it can't just be because she looked like us. It's gotta be something behind it. Come to find out, your grandfather Mexican. Your children Mexican. So it's your allegiance is to these illegals. And really, you should be removed from office because you have dual allegiances. The same thing with anyone else who has dual allegiances in the government. But now it makes sense. Let's get into it a little bit deeper, family, because this whole situation, like I said, could have been avoided. But they're also out here trying to make foundational Black Americans the fall guy for the whole situation. While people, there was this one post and I tried to pull it back up, but I guess it got deleted, where this white supremacist was talking about, there was a video that he put up with some brothers moving some furniture out of one of their apartments or something like that, or they were helping some people move furniture out of their apartments. They're calm, they're cool, they're collected. Right down the street, there's the fire truck, so you know that there's firefighters on the scene. There was police officers on the scene. There was the news networks on the scene. But this white supremacist post this video with the caption that says, "The usual suspects added already." Now this drove the internet crazy. All over, whether it was on X, whether it was on TikTok, whether it was on Instagram, Facebook, people was posting videos showing, hey, that's not true whatsoever. So we're going to get into some of those videos, because while we're being like scapegoated in this, there are some actual people who we should be looking at.
Let's go over and see what's going on over here. If these folks live here, they're trying to get stuff out of their house. I'm not sure. In this home, thank you. This home, they had some fire in the backyard, and like I said, I don't know if it has reached the home yet or not.
You can't try. You did try and go over outside.
Oh, excuse me, sir, is this your home? Oh, okay.
The back side of your house.
Right there.
Like you can see, it's all pumping. The whole thing is burning. So.
Damn. Is this your home, sir?
This is my auntie home. This is my cousin's home, Aaron.
I'm Chip with KTL. I'm really sorry for what you guys are going through. Tell me kind of what, how was your auntie here when this started? What happened?
Nah, we got everybody out. We was just leaving the area to make sure everything was good. And, you know, just thinking that it was going to clear up. But for sure, we didn't think this was going to happen down here. We seen it started miles away.
Were you here when it started?
Not here at this location. I was actually trying to track the fire and stuff. So.
Oh, is the door hot? You all right? You all right?
Is the door hot?
It looked like you tried to open the door, and the door was hot. So you're trying to get some belongings out.
Nothing, yeah. Maybe I should back up so it won't. I don't know. But yeah, we just tried to come get some belongings. We didn't think it was on fire. We thought it was on all ghost up, but now we see that it's definitely caught fire.
And how is your auntie doing? She got out before it got here, you said?
Yeah, they all got out safely, and they went to the shelter, Civic Center.
Okay. How long has she lived here, do you know?
They owned this house for a long time. Aaron, how long own the house, man? 23 years. 23 years.
My condolences to the family, man. That's just really messed up. And like he said, he didn't think it would, reach them, but there's been videos coming out, family, that people have been going around setting these fires in different locations. So let's take a look at some of those. Apparently, This is actual looter being arrested in Santa Monica. Does he look black to you guys, ladies and gentlemen? Or does that look like one of those Latinos? One of those Mexicanos? Maybe even an Aryan guy. I don't know, but he don't look black. But let's get in here. I wanted to show you this. He definitely don't look black. Ain't he a white boy? This is a white boy right here. Out here tossing gasoline towards these fires.
How are they throwing gasoline? The fuck?
Even the man in the vehicle is screaming, "What the F?" What is going on? Y'all just walking down the highway tossing gas? Oh, Jesus Christ, family. But this one here, if nothing else gets you, this should get you. Because while they're over here talking about the usual suspects are out here, they're at it already. Yeah, he was actually correct, because the actual usual suspect is them. This man dressed as a firefighter. He was breaking into homes, stealing people's belongings. Let me say that again. This man dressed up as a firefighter to burglarize people's properties. He would escort them out and then rob them. He would escort them out and then rob them, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, the usual suspects, right? Let's continue, family. There were people saying that the fires could be started with lasers and all this other stuff. And I don't know if that's true or not. However, I do know people are going around starting these fires. Whether the first one was organic or not, there are people going around, and there's videos of people starting fires. But I did find a video of someone actually using a laser gun to start fires. Not out there, but it's an example that this technology does exist. Now, I'm not here to make nobody put on the tinfoil kufi, but I did want you guys to see that we ain't got to talk about theories. when the stuff exists today. See, whenever people start talking about the CTs, I ain't going to say it here because, you know, I don't want that to get to the algorithm. But when you're talking about theories and there's nothing to show for it, then that's what you're doing, talking about theories. But when you're actually seeing with your own eyes that the technology exists, well, is it really a theory? Now, I want to show you this. This is a man just walking through dry mountain area, and it looks like he's pouring gasoline or using a flamethrower, because in California, they do have flamethrowers that you can use to kill weeds and things like that. That's what it kind of looks like to me. It looks like one of those flamethrowers that people use to kill weeds, just amplified.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Now, family, you're actually watching this man walk side by side in areas where there's no fire, and by the time he moves past that area, there's a trail of fire now brewing. So we ain't got to put on the kufi, not the tinfoil kufi. We know exactly what's going on. But the fact that these people in office did not do their jobs to prevent this, they actually exasperated this, if anything. That's all they did. So, as they should, people called for the immediate recall of Karen Bass over the wildfires. The petition hit over 86,000 signatures already. And they're warranted in this reaction. However, I would be remiss if I don't state that y'all voted for this chick, knowing that she had an anti-black stance on reparations, knowing that she had full intentions on going into office doing everything for the illegals, because she told you when people was trying to hold her feet to the fire to get a black agenda out of her, she did not once come out and say anything that remotely could be considered a black agenda. However, she would speak about the illegals and the Hispanic population consistently. This is a wake-up call in some ways. Because while people are so disillusioned to think that illegal immigration doesn't affect Black Americans, it hits us the heart. It hits us harder than anybody else, especially when situations like this happens. Why? Because the resources have been taken away from our neighborhoods and given to other people. And then come to find out, right before the wildfires start, allegedly, before the wildfires started, insurance companies was canceling people's fire insurance. So some people may just be asked out of luck. And I want to keep an eye on this too, because BlackRock is eyeing land out there. Blackstone and their subsidiary companies are eyeing land out there. Just something to keep an eye on, family. But we're going to move on to Gavin Newsom. Get over here, Gavin, because I want to talk about that $25 million war chest that you was calling for to fight against Trump's deportations. Let's talk about it, shall we? And I had an opportunity this Sunday, and as I record this, it's Tuesday the 14th. By the time you guys get it, it'll be Wednesday morning. But on Sunday night, I had an opportunity to chop it up with our brother Jason Black. Shout out to the Black Authority. And I was able to ask him a question on his broadcast. And if you have not seen his broadcast from Sunday night, I suggest you go run and see it, because it was a phenomenal broadcast. If you didn't see his broadcast from Saturday night, I suggest you run and see it, because it was a phenomenal broadcast. But I had the opportunity to make a couple of statements and ask Jason a question, and I would like you guys to hear it. Now, I'm only going to play a clip because there was so much more that Jason was saying and so much knowledge that he was given that I don't want you guys to not go to his channel to see it. I want you guys to go over there and make sure that you watch it if you haven't watched it. And that's why I'm not going to play the full clip. But if you want to see the full clip, you're going to go over there. So let's get into this, because I asked him about this $25 million war chest, and I want y'all to hear what Jason had to say.
I did want to ask you though, what do you think would happen with the $25 million that Gavin Newsom called for to help the illegals with their legal defenses for when Trump gets into office? Do you think that that would still be an issue, or do you think that he will try to reallocate that towards some situations to help Californians?
Brother, the last thing that Gavin Newsom needed right now was a natural catastrophe to just jump out from nowhere. Okay, for those of you who don't know, natural disasters typically have what they call a season. So me being from Louisiana, floods, we have flooding all the time. So there's no real flood season. It's just you in a flood plain. So if it starts raining, you can get it all year round. But when it comes to other things that are meteorological events, geological events, that tends to be different. So you have things like hurricane season, which also tends to run concurrent to tornado season. However, we've kind of had to realize that, hell, you had a spate of tornadoes in December. Hurricane season typically runs from April to about November, early November. Although it can sometimes stretch, but December is typically not either tornado nor hurricane season. So now you know what the seasons are, but we just had a bunch of tornadoes hit in December, a bunch of them. So it can happen. Fire season, the wildfire season in California usually is in January. January is usually not fire season. That's usually a springtime, summertime thing. Not in what is winter for the rest of us, because California doesn't have winter the way the rest of us do. It gets cool there, don't get me wrong, but they don't have it like us. So this is not fire season. It is now. It is now. And Gavin Newsom just said that. Well, typically this is not fire season, but we have to adapt to the fact that from now on, it's not really going to be a season. No, you're in a fire area. And what I'm saying is that no one expected that to occur. Karen Bass is off there in Ghana when this happens. Nobody saw this coming. They all thought the election is over and that the world was going to cater to them because, okay, the political season's over, so let me breathe so I can do some bull jive for my politics. And now reality has come crashing its head through the door. And they're not ready for it. These issues that you thought you could get away with and back talk about, what do you do when you're now going to have to argue, well, yes, it makes perfect sense for me to give millions to illegals and $1 billion to the homeless that we can't account for. Now that's the real atrocity right there. Over $1 billion that they cannot account for how the hell it's been spent, if it's been spent, where it's been spent. We don't know what happened to it. That right there.
Put a pin in that, family, because we're going to come back to that $1 billion that Jason just spoke about.
But I got to tell you, brother, because I don't know where you live now, but if you live in California, I got to tell you, I've been to places that are coastal places. California and Florida are the worst offenders. I got to tell the truth. These are places where folks tend to pride themselves on, oh, we're a resort state like California, or we're a beachside celebrity state like California. We're a resort state like Florida, or a beach state like California, and everybody wants to be part of the vibe, you know? They want to get their surfboards, they want to hang out on the beach, they want to get their bikinis, they want to go to Disney World, and meanwhile, the politicians are doing whatever. The corporations are doing whatever. And nobody pays attention until the whole damn world burns down. Or until things get so damn expensive you can't afford anything. And then the answers all are incredibly dysfunctional. It's also very difficult to cut budgets because the first thing is everybody wants you to cut budgets for everything except what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a whole bunch of folk who want a bunch of bull jive, and they want everybody else to pay for theirs. Oh, don't pay for these other folk over here. Pay for mine over here. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to have to deal with that. I'm going to tell you the truth. In California, I got to tell the truth, man. California, the reason why you have such a large homeless population is because California has cultivated such a large drug culture. The rest of us are victims of that because that mess spread out of California and went up to Washington, Colorado, and now it's gone across the rest of the country like a cancer. Okay, but you're the epicenter of it. And you're sitting there with a bunch of folk who are like, folks, you have two major places right now that y'all don't think about when you think about homeless. California's the number one place you think about homeless. You know where one of the major epicenters of homelessness is besides California? Hawaii. What? A lot of y'all don't think about that there. Hawaii. Hawaii is now becoming a major epicenter for homelessness. Well, why? The folk up there who live in Hawaii will tell you, you have a bunch of people coming from the lower 48. A bunch of them, they're coming on one-way plane tickets and they're coming to Hawaii because we have pretty much climate weather year-round. So this, quote, camping in public, and it's not camping, you're the little homeless nigga on the corner, but they're camping in public and they're not as worried about, like in Louisiana, it's deadly to be homeless down here unless you're down in New Orleans. That's why you have more homeless people in New Orleans, for example, than we do up here in Shreveport, because you're closer to the ocean. So New Orleans does not get the brutal temperatures and humidity that we get up here in Shreveport. It can be deadly up here. And I'm not saying that New Orleans is a walk in the park all the time either, but I've been in New Orleans in the summertime. It's totally different than what we have up here because you have that big ocean down there to help cool you off. Well, no wonder you have more homeless people down there. So from a climate standpoint, they can stand being, quote, homeless longer. Well, that's why you have so many of them in Southern California, not Northern California, Southern California. So in other words, your so-called homeless people are dysfunctional. They got issues, they got problems, and they don't feel like they have to address them because, well, I'm in a place where the elements are not going to kill me as readily as they will in other places. The elements won't kill me as readily. So Southern California, Hawaii, places where folks can camp out and hide out, and you're not dealing with it. So you're handing out needles and stuff and you're exacerbating the issue. I think that there's also a very good reason why they're doing it. It's a very devilish, devious reason. But you need poor people as much as you need the rich. And it's about continuing that dysfunction because folks capitalize off of it to a degree till it spills over and gets out of control, which is where you are now. And now you're spending money and, like I say, you can't put out the fires because of it. Politicians love a blind electorate. They love a distracted electorate. I said it before. They would be just as happy if only 4 people showed up to vote on election day. Damn 40 million. If only 4 of us showed up, they'd be much happier with that. Much happier. And what you got right now is unfortunately a wake-up call for the California culture, as it were. The ability to ignore that, it's like, you can't really ignore it like this. And they should have done that decades ago. You shouldn't have the gentrification issue. You shouldn't have these other problems going on. So I don't see them I see them really trying to hold on to that number that you said. They're going to try to hold on to it because the corporations are the ones that want the illegals here. But what they don't want is for the illegals to have leverage. So that's why the system is not broken. The system is engineered exactly the way they want it to. They can extract the labor, and they can get Consuela to turn sex tricks, and she's not a citizen. See, when they go to work at a corporation, you can't do that. You can do that with the housekeeper. Damn. Ain't that right, Governor Schwarzenegger? What? Oh, I ain't supposed to say that? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say it like that, was I? No, brother, see, they're in a different world from you and me.
Facts.
When you think about that for a few moments, damn, it makes sense. Oh, yeah, by the way, New York City.
Auntie, chill.
By the way, New York City, you got housekeeping, nannies, domestic workers all over New York. Your housekeepers, your nannies, mostly female, practically all female, from the Caribbean, primarily from the Caribbean. Got a few of them from Mexico. They usually don't get up that far, though, but primarily from the Caribbean. Oh, am I saying too much? Am I saying too much? Okay. Everywhere they work, when them chicks get hired, everywhere they go, it's a white man who hired them. It's not a black person. It's not a Latino. It's a white man who hired them. Okay, just understand they gripping them butt cheeks too, so they got a reason for bringing them there, brother. There's a reason for it. When you take a look at New York City and all the so-called sex scandals involving damn politicians there, why do you think that keeps going on? That's who you got. So I'm just letting you know, yeah, those numbers, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, brother. You got that, you got for homeless, you've got for so-called environmental funding, education, so-called education. You got a number of different things out there that are being used as slush funds that they've earmarked funds for. But if you don't know who's actually pushing these agendas, then you don't know why it is that such a seemingly crazy thing would be being pushed in the first place. Now you have something that should clear that off the board. It should. But what they're going to try to do in California is they're going to try to get the federal government to pay for it. So they're going to try to get the federal government to pay for the disaster part so they can keep their budget rolling as they already intended. Because they already put like $25 million to fight Donald Trump in court if he does something that they don't like. Meanwhile, half of Los Angeles is burning down. So just keep in mind, that's their plan. Now, Trump has already said he ain't going for it. He's already said, yeah, we're not gonna reimburse California so you can continue doing this kind of nonsense. We'll see if they stick to their guns on it. But I'm just letting you know, no, they do not intend to back off of those numbers. They don't intend to back off of that allocation of funds. Their plan is what they did the last time with the last wildfires. We're going to get the federal government to pay for it. Biden has already said we'll pay for it, but remember, he's going to be out of office here in a little over a week. We'll see if that actually goes through or not. But they're expecting the federal government to foot the bill so they can keep spending that money as usual.
Shout out to Jason Black. And I wanted to play that because in real time, since then, there's been some development and things happening. But I wanted to really touch on this because when Jason was talking about, you got a lot of different areas where they're actually using as these like basic shadow, funds and things like that. You got to know who's behind and who's pushing for these funds and things like that. Well, I think it's very safe to say we've gotten to the bottom of who's pushing and why she's pushing for sanctuary cities in Los Angeles. Am I correct? I think it's safe to say that when we look into those backgrounds, we start to find the reasoning behind the nonsense. We get to find why is it that she looks like us but she is not willing to do anything for us. Why she looks like us, but she's so against reparations. Why is it that you were part of the Black Caucus at one point, but did nothing for us? So I think we got into the bottom of that. But let's jump back over here to Gavin Newsom. Because, you know, Jason also stated, right, that Gavin Newsom was going to try to get the federal government to pay for things, and he wasn't really looking to do anything for the people. He's going to, if anything, double down. And, you know, Trump called him out. He called him out. Governor Gavin Newscom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melting in the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called the smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work. But didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand this incompetent governor allow beautiful clean water, beautiful clean fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants. Not firefighting planes. A true disaster. So, you know, Gavin Newsom, he wasn't going to let that sit. So what did he do? He had to come and, well, hold on. Let's go here first. Basically, Trump came and told this man about his incompetence. And then Fox went and doubled down and made sure they brought on several people to call out this man's incompetence.
Los Angeles is being governed, and the state of California is being governed by people who have lost sight of the basics of governing. They have lost sight of the idea that we pay you a tax so that you take care of basics for us. And nothing could be more basic than preventing the burning down of, as you just said in your introduction, an area twice the size of Manhattan. Right? It's hard to conceive of how big this is. I woke up to text messages. Almost everyone we know has evacuated their home. We know people that have lost their homes. And the reason that there's so little trust, and the reason that you saw in that clip that mother confronting Gavin Newsom with such rage, is because there's so much that led up to this moment. There was, just to choose one example, in our neighborhood, a middle-class neighborhood in LA, not particularly fancy, the police, if you called them for a robbery, and there were many, many robberies in our neighborhood, they would take an hour, sometimes 2 hours to show up. It had become almost like Brazil. It had become normal for middle-class people, upper middle-class people, to pay for private security, despite the fact that they were paying enormously high taxes already. So was it the fact that, the city cut the spending in the fire department by $17 million? Was it the fact that they were spending more on homelessness initiatives than on preventing fire? Was it look, I don't know. What I know is that the broader context in which this fire is happening is a context of total incompetency and leaders who are putting niche luxury issues, ideological issues, over and above the most fundamental things, keeping you and your family safe from crime, keeping you and your family safe from fires.
That's the job.
That's it.
That's it, and that's all, family. And you know Gavin wasn't going to keep his mouth closed. He had to come out and he had to swing for his job because he's going down. See, this is what happens when you mess over foundational Black Americans. I've said this several times before. The universe moves with expedited speed in order to make sure you understand the karma that's about to befall upon you. Because we've been saying when they crashed out the reparations bill that this was going to affect Kamala and it was going to affect Gavin Newsom and the Democratic Party as a whole. And what happened? The Kamala Harris lost. The Democratic Party crashed out. And now Gavin Newsom, who was already on a downward trajectory, excuse me. I don't know why the hell that happened, but was already on a downward spiral, right? Now this has happened, and people are starting to see, even if you're not Black in California, you're seeing that your government officials actually really don't give a damn about you either. That they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing for the people who even believe themselves to be in the dominant society. This is what happens. Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, they're both cooked when it comes to politics. But let's go here real quick. Gavin Newsom had to fire back at real Donald Trump. As you prepare to assume the presidency once more, I invite you to come to California. I invite you to come to California. The hundreds of thousands of Americans displaced from their homes and fearful for the future, deserve to see us all working together in their best interest, not politicizing a human tragedy and spreading disinformation from the sidelines. So you invite this man into California so that people can see you guys working together. But the first thing you do is throw shade at him and say he's spreading misinformation, disinformation, when he's not. When there's literal evidence to show that you guys have not been handling your governmental duties. Where there's evidence to show that you guys have not been taking care of the departments that should be taking care of your citizens. So then, Gavin started getting real irritated. This is a ridiculous lie. I have doubled the size of our firefighting army. Built the world's largest aerial firefighting fleet. And increased the forest management tenfold since taking office. Time to serve these folks the facts. He's so upset. He is so upset. Fox News posted Governor Gavin Newsom cut firefighting budget by $100 million months before lethal California fire. And the readers come back and added context. The 2024-2025 California state budget signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom in June of 2024 reduced funding by $101 million. All right. But it says, despite this, California Fire's wildfire protection budget surged from $1.1 billion in 2014 to $3 billion in 2023, most of which was under Newsom's governorship. Now, let me break some of that down for you. 1.1 billion in 2014 is not the same as the 3 billion in 2023. And let me tell you why. Because inflation renders that extra 1.9 billion amount just useless. It's worthless because we've gone through inflation. Does that make sense? I just wanted to make sure that's known. But he cut the whole funding $101 million. Now think about this, family. $101 million. And that is on top of what Karen Bass took, $17.6 million, and what the city attorney's office cut, which is $48.8 million. But you know, go off, Newsom. And you know, when it comes to everyone else, and by everyone else I mean illegal invaders, they get into the bag. So when Jason said they fully intend not to spend the money on the citizens, he wasn't just correct. He wasn't just correct, ladies and gentlemen, because the 25 million that Gavin Newsom reportedly was out there calling for to have a war chest for illegals to fight Trump in court. California said, you know what? I'll do you one better. Hold my beer. Let me dig into this wallet I got here. And we're going to strike a deal for $50 million to quote unquote Trump-proof California. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Let's get into this. We're only going to read this part here because I refuse to spend extra money for Politico Pro. And I'm already spending money for Politico. All right, let's get into it. Governor Gavin Newsom and state legislative leaders have agreed to set aside $50 million to defend California. Let me make sure you understand what that. This was done on the 12th. It was done on the 12th. 5 days after the wildfires started. As well as immigrants facing deportation in court against incoming Trump White House, according to two people with knowledge of the negotiation. Does this not show you how much they do not give a rat's ass? The deal struck through a special legislative session Newsom called to shore up the state's legal defense legal defenses, including $25 million he sought for State Department of Justice legislation against the federal government. It also contains $25 million of state-led wanted for grants and non-profit legal groups. Cash grab. Shout out to TD Media Hip Hop. TD Media Group, cash grab. An additional $25 million for who now? Non-profit legal groups and centers that support immigrants who are at risk of deportation, detention, and wage theft. Cash grab. Cash grab. Period, point and blank. There's nothing else to be discussed there. And like I said, we're not even going to get into the rest of that because I'm not going to pay for that. But I want to go here. Let's talk about something else Jason Black spoke about when I said put a pin in that. He spoke about the $1 billion that was given to California for a homeless issue or whatnot that just disappeared. $1 billion in California just disappeared. Nothing happened to better the lives of any of the homeless people there. Nothing changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. But $1 billion. Well, let's go here. When we're talking about California spending $2.6 billion on healthcare for illegal invaders.
But the thing is, for sanctuary cities and states, they complain about the cost, but they continue to add services. I want to show you California. As of yesterday, California has added a health care benefit for migrants. They are now going to extend free health care to migrants between the ages of 26 and 49. That's going to cover 700,000 additional people and cost the state $2.6 billion each year. Now, that's added onto that's added onto California's deficit, which is already $68 billion. But the thing is, for sanctuary cities and states, they complain about the
family. This is just, the proof is in the pudding. That's just what it is. They're literally spitting in the face of the American. And in this case, more specifically, the Californian. I want to play what Barbara Jordan said about giving these illegal invaders services that they should not be receiving. Let's go.
Illegal aliens don't have the right to be here. They broke the law to get here. They never intended to become a part of our social community, and they are not entitled to benefits. If a person is here unlawfully, he should be entitled to no benefits. No benefits. If illegal aliens require other aid, then that aid should be granted in their own country. Illegal.
Boom. I got to get a bomb drop too, because that was boom. If they need those services, they should be receiving those services in their country. They should go back and get those services. They shouldn't be coming over here, taking the funding of the people who are paying taxes to get the services like fire department, polices, and things like that. If you're going to spend $2.6 billion on healthcare for illegals, that $2.6 billion could have been given, could have been used to give Californians free healthcare in general. But no. as Jason also stated, it's the corporations that want these peoples here. So I wouldn't be surprised if you getting this healthcare situation set up for them is through somebody in the corporate sector who has a healthcare provider, who is a healthcare provider in California. I'm just wondering. I am just wondering. But I want to also show audits find that California spent $24 billion on homelessness in 5 years. And didn't consistently track outcomes. $24 billion on homelessness in 5 years. And didn't consistently track outcomes. You know why? Because it wasn't going to the homeless. The homeless problem only worsened. It only worsened over the years. That's what it is. So now, Gavin Newsom expands special session to speed up Los Angeles wildfire relief funds. And some people may say, well, that's a good thing. Ain't it? That's a good thing. Because Jason said he wouldn't be doing or passing anything. I don't want to say he said he wouldn't be passing anything. He said he wouldn't be touching that $25 million. He's going to try to get, the federal government to pay for it, to pay for, the cost. However, although he's proposing for this to happen, we're going to get into the article. I wanted to remind you that audits have found California spent $24 billion on homelessness in 5 years. And where did all that money go? I know he spent $90 million building a mansion out there in San Francisco. Did that come from there? I don't know. But $24 billion has disappeared into thin air over the last 5 years. Now let's see what this is talking about. Governor Gavin Newsom on Monday asked the state legislature to approve a $2.5 billion aid package in response to the Southern California wildfires, folding the request into a special session that the governor initially called to fund legal battles against the incoming Trump administration. The move comes as Democrats in the legislature appears to reach an agreement on bills that will allow the governor to sign off on new funding for lawyers at the California Department of Justice and in legal aid centers across the state before presidential-elect Donald Trump takes office on Monday. Republicans largely criticized those investments as they called on Newsom to put wildfire-related spendings through the same fast-track process allowed in the special session. The process allows bills passed by the state and assembly to take effect more quickly than under the legislature normal rules, which requires a supermajority vote to speed up the enactment of a law. So y'all could have called special sessions about our reparations bill, right? And y'all would have been able to enact it quicker if you did. Okay. Let's get up in here. Let's go here because I want to get into, here we go. Newsom proposal includes $1 billion for emergency response and cleanup, for which the administration anticipates reimbursements from the federal government. Didn't Jason say that? The governor is also asking the legislature to sign off on $1.5 billion to prepare for future natural disasters and an unspecified amount to provide technical assistance for school districts attempting to rebuild campuses that were burnt down and damaged in the fires. So, family, just wanted to let you guys know in real time. This came out yesterday, January 13th. In real time, that Jason was correct. Once again, I'm going to be 100 with you. It tells you right here, clear as day, that he fully anticipates reimbursement from the federal government. Now, let's see if this gets passed before the federal government actually comes in and drops off that bag. Because here's the thing. It's the 14th. There's only 6 days left. Is it January 20th or January 21st? It's 6 or 7 days left for Biden to be in an office, be in the White House, to be honest. So, I don't see that happening. And if it doesn't happen, by the time Trump gets into office, it's not going to happen. And even if it did happen, would people definitively be able to say that they trust where the money is going to go? I don't think they truly do. But this wasn't just done out of the kindness of Gavin Newsom's heart. He didn't have a come to Jesus moment. No, family, not at all. This came on the heels of this. Yes, family. Gavin Newsom recall process could start this week, with Karen Bass next week. I'm telling you, family, the universe works expeditiously. Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it, especially when you mess over the wrong people, and the wrong people are foundational Black Americans. The people who built this country, the people that has the spirit, the soul, and everything to go along with it to move the country. We are the spirit, we are the soul, we are the heartbeat of the country. That's a fact, Jack. So yes, just know, family, just know that these two on their way out, and they're literally as cooked as this house right here. Bye-bye to your political careers. And what really gets to me, and I'm going to end off on this note, family, what really gets to me is that Gavin Newsom been out there telling people to donate to people who suffered from the wildfires. And I totally agree to that. I totally agree. Then he goes and posts a link to where you can do so. And when he posts the link, this is the link, family. He is telling you to send money to Act Blue, the same people who basically was money laundering for the Democratic Party this election and the last election. He's telling you that you should go and spend your money and give your funds to these people to help with the California wildfires. And it's not just him. Elizabeth Warren did the same thing. She's doing the same thing. These Democrats are devilish, boy. Truly, truly, truly devilish. But with that being said, family, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear it. If you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, fam, I just want you to know that these people are cooked and they're on their way out. And California, keep your foot on the gas when it comes to this. And whoever you guys put back into those offices, make sure you do your homework on them to make sure they're not another Karen Bass, to make sure they're not another Gavin Newsom. Just protect your interest. Stop trying to be sanctuary cities all over the damn place. Stop trying to talk about we're black and brown, blah, blah. That's bull stuff because we know the relations between our people and theirs. Yet another example, Nuri Martinez. Just with curlier hair. Karen Bass is, basically. So keep your eye on this, family. And to the family who are members, to the family that's on my Patreon, I got a couple of videos that was supposed to drop for you guys last week, but didn't. So I'm going to drop them this week and just extend the time that it's behind the paywall. But with that being said, family and friends, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace, family.